Space. The final frontier. I've always wanted to say that. We've always been drawn to the stars, and with the advent of new technology like the James Webb Telescope, we're able to stare deeper into the cosmos than we ever have before, with chilling results. These are the top 5 terrifying photos taken from space. Let's dive on in. What do you think is the scariest thing about being up there in space? No atmosphere? Aliens? No Wi-Fi? Number 5. A dying star. Stars live for hundreds of million years, but in the grand sense of things, in the big cosmic sense, that's kind of just an infancy. Stars live fast and die young. But what does a dying star look like? Thanks to billions of dollars of telescope technology, we can get some answers on a cosmic dying star. A few years ago, the Hubble Space Telescope captured some pretty good spooky vibes by snapping an image of the dying star CW Leonis. This is my first picture of a dying star, and I gotta say, it is as ethereally beautiful as I had expected. It looks like a cosmic cobweb, like a fractal galactic spiderweb. Oh, say that 5 times fast. Am I the only one who kind of gets like Lovecraft vibes out of this? This interstellar spiderweb looking star seems like the kind of thing a protagonist in a Lovecraft story would look into and then become aware of his insignificance and then gets driven to madness and collapses after viewing the true name of an old god. Sorry, I've been reading the Necronomicon before bed every night. Now, I'm not much of a scientist, I just look at pretty pictures of space and go, that looks cool. But it doesn't take rocket appliances to understand what's going on here. NASA did explain it easy enough for us laymen's. This star is called a carbon star. Cobwebs that are surrounding it are carbon absorbing the dying star. The outer layers of the star are being sucked into the black void of space. Where that goes, absolutely no idea. Like I said, I'm not much of a scientist. I can just look at a star and think it looks pretty cool. And it does. And if you're looking to see way more cool, scary space content, well, then you're in the right space already. Subscribe to the channel for new stuff every day, or click through our huge archive of scary content. Let's keep going. Number 4. Space Face. And the Hubble telescope seemed to have a real eye for finding bizarre, scary things up in the stars. I only picked 5 here, but there are so many more crazy things out of the Hubble telescope. It's worth looking at. But this is something else. I don't know how you could see something like this and ever want to look at the stars again. This probably would have convinced me of some sort of cosmic god staring back at me. All I can see looking at this looming specter of some incomprehensibly big galactic skull, it makes me feel like this is going to be the next big villain of one of the Avengers movies. So what actually is this, if not a looming sign of the apocalypse? Well, it's actually pretty fascinating. I mean, that goes without saying. It's 2 galaxies crashing into each other. Each of the skull's glowing eyes are the bright cores of a galaxy as the 2 of them are collapsing in on one another. Cluster of blue stuff you see are all young little baby stars colliding into one another. Also, a side note, did you know galaxies could crash into each other? Because I definitely did not know that was a possibility until I started reading for this video. Did not know space was full of traffic accidents, and now I'm kind of stressed about it. Apparently though, it's a pretty rare occurrence. NASA and the ESA said that there's only a few hundred situations like this that live inside our larger cosmic neighborhood. The bad news, this beautiful cosmic coincidence won't last forever. We've only got about 2 billion more years or so, give or take, to appreciate this lovely phenomenon. So it's a good thing we got this photo while we did. We almost missed it. Photos will last longer. Number 3. Spiders on Mars. Now, not to burst anyone's cosmic bubble, but sadly, what we're looking at right now are not proof of alien life on Mars. It's not Attack of the Giant Arachnids taking over the Red Planet, as cool as that would be. They just look exactly like they're horrifying monstrosities from beyond the stars. I'm not really great with spiders as is, let alone when they're not from this planet. So what are we looking at then? Well, what we're looking at right now is called an areniform. Areniform is a fancy science word that means spider-like, and it mostly gets used when describing this particular phenomena viewed from the surface of Mars. So basically what these are little channels, and these grooves converge at a point together and give off the sort of optical illusion of spiders crawling the surface of Mars. And this is far from the only time telescopes have shown us something weird looking at the surface of Mars, and there's a lot of things up there like that one rock that looked exactly like a human face, or those rocks that look like bones. But this repeated phenomena sure makes for some interesting photos. It makes me want to get up there way faster. The question if there's life on Mars is one of the most compelling questions in the world right now, at least to me and David Bowie. I'm sure there's some form of bacterial life or some sort of prototype life on Mars right now, but I just really hope that it's not gigantic spiders. Number 2, The Darkness. One of my all-time favorite films is Ridley Scott's 1979 classic alien. The first time I watched it, I was a little kid and I was terrified beyond words. And that was before the alien even shows up. I mean, you're already scared. If you've seen the movie, you know. The vibes are immaculate, all that darkness and spookiness up in space. And looking at these photos of the ISS at night look like photos straight out of the USCSS Nostromo behind the scenes. It's a look into the life of an astronaut we don't get to see too often or really think about. When you're up in space, night doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, you've traveled outside the concept of there being a night and a day. The ISS orbits the Earth 16 times a day, meaning you're seeing the sunset 16 times a day. But we can't just expect astronauts to stay awake 100% of the time. So when the astronauts need to sleep, all the lights go out to simulate the effect of being nighttime, just like you do when you put a blanket over a bird's cage. And the effects are anything but soothing. An astronaut, Alexander Gerst, takes photos to stave off boredom while he's floating above the cosmos, and one instance, instead of drifting off to bed, he decided to take a series of photos showcasing what nightlife on the ISS looks like, and we thank him for it, because it's a harrowing reminder of how lonely and strange being an astronaut must be. I gotta wonder, is it easy to get to sleep like that? And finally, at number 1, cracked glass. It has gotta be so odd, being on the ISS, being out in the vast, unending cosmos, getting to see a perspective that people almost never get to see, and also knowing that the only thing keeping you alive is being inside this station and that the environment around you literally can't support your life and you're lost in a sea of stars. The ESA, European Space Agency, tweeted a photo out a little bit ago of a crack in the window of the ISS. A bit of a disconcerting sight. The damage was caused by a floating piece of debris that collided into the observatory of the ISS. Luckily, the chip was only about a quarter of an inch, and while it looks incredibly unnerving, and if I saw that on the station, I would probably be sweating my hair out, the ESA reassures everyone that the damage does not pose a threat. Now, the unnerving part is that they speculate that the object that damaged the window could have been something as small as a flake of paint that came off of the ISS and collided with the window. A flake of paint. If your first thought was, well, what about something ever so slightly larger? The ESA has the same worry, and it said that a piece of debris larger than 4 inches would be enough to completely shatter a satellite or a spacecraft wide open. That would probably prevent me from ever getting a good sleep again, knowing that there's always a possibility something teeny tiny could tear a hole open and have us all sucked into space. Sweet dreams! The threat of space debris is a growing concern for NASA and the ESA and other space organizations, as debris keeps getting lost up there and isn't getting taken away. We've already messed Earth up pretty bad, so it would be a galactic embarrassment if we also trash up the stars. Might need to get someone up there to sweep up a little bit. And that's all for this video, my little ghouls and goblins. Thanks so much for watching. Creep on creeping on, and I'll see you in the next one.